Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Tuesday, May the 13th. Ian Cameron and Matt Robinson in the house. What a time for his day on the show to fall on a Tuesday. A Dallas Stars playoff game Tuesday. It's game 4, the only game on the slate tonight. It's a standalone night, just one game, game 4 between the Winnipeg Jets and the Dallas Stars. We'll see if the Winnipeg Jets can get their shit together on the road, or if this is going to just go the same route that every road game for them has gone in this year's playoffs and even further back. Or can they author a different outcome? We'll find out tonight, and we will find out together. At least most of us will. We will find out together because many of you are Patreon members, and we have tonight our latest Patreon exclusive Stanley Cup Playoffs live betcast for Game 4 between the Jets and the Stars tonight. It gets underway at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Note the start time, not 7. The game is 8, so the betcast will start at 8 p.m. Eastern Time as well for Game 4 tonight. Patreon exclusive. Make sure you sign up. Patreon.com/IceGuys. Just $10 per month. Again, I think it's going to be an entertaining game. It's been a very good series so far, so we're very much looking forward to it. So Patreon.com/IceGuys. Just $10 per month. Looking forward, of course, to the betcast and Game 4 between the Jets and the Stars, which we will get to in a moment. But first, we'll look back on last night and Carolina taking firm control of their series against the Washington Capitals last night. Very similar start for Washington. They did a lot of good things. They, had some good looks early in the game. They had a 7-3 edge in shots on goal. They had the puck more than Carolina did. They really started that game the way you want to on the road. But again, just unable to get that first goal really became an issue. And then, of course, Carolina, I thought the latter part of that first period, started to get going, play more in the offensive zone. And then, of course, Shane Gostisbehere opens the scoring just past the halfway mark of the first period. And from that point on, Carolina got to their game a lot more, got better as the period went on. That period started 7-3 Washington shots on goal. It ended 13-8 for Carolina. And the majority of the shots for Carolina came after that first goal. So you could tell that opening goal was a big one for Carolina, and it definitely set Washington back a little bit. And then to give up a goal in the first minute and change of the second period, I think there was a hole in Logan Thompson's glove. He was unable to stop the initial shot. It hit his glove and bounced out. And then it was just lying there for Seth Jarvis on the rebound to give them a 2-0 lead early in that second period. That put them really up against it. You do not want to be, down 2 goals on the road against a team that can defend and play the shutdown game probably as well as anybody, the Carolina Hurricanes. But to Washington's credit, Chychrun got them within 2-1, but you give up the 3-1 goal to Taylor Hall right after that. That's a real tough break. Now, they were given the opportunity with a 2-man advantage power play, and they made good on it with Alex Ovechkin, making it 3-2. Again, Washington right back in it, gives themselves a chance, but Sean Walker, the defenseman, ends up getting Carolina back up to a 2-goal lead again, 4-2, and then Andrei Svechnikov into the empty net for a 5-2 Carolina win. Very happy to at least cash the full game over, because we ran the system play. I didn't want to do it because of how much of a low-scoring series this has been, but I did, just go with the system, which was 3-1 first period over, 4-0 full game over going into last night. Teams off a shutout loss. And it wasn't looking good for either of them. Obviously, first period stayed under, and it was 2-0 going into the third, but we did have 5 goals in the third to get us over the total for the game. So that was the saving grace for that game. And Washington now with an uphill battle. Certainly, they've won 3 in a row many times this year during the course of the season, but it feels a little different. They look a step slow. They look like their legs are kind of stuck in cement right now, Washington. And it's just been the way the Carolina plays, they just grind you down. And we're seeing that so far in this series. They're just wearing Washington down. I think plain and simple, that's exactly what's happening. Again, not the greatest playoff hockey game. It was okay in parts of that game, but it was definitely not a great game. And it's clearly been the worst series of the four here in the second round, just from a pure entertainment standpoint. And you don't truly get how much inferior that series has been quality-wise until you compare that game last night to what we saw in the first period between Vegas and Edmonton. I couldn't believe the difference. The pace, the intensity, the physicality, the hatred, scrums after every whistle, it felt like in the first period of that game. Just an absolutely insane first 20 minutes in Edmonton last night. It was wild. It was just absolutely nuts. And you just saw, obviously, what ended up happening in that game with the animosity. Adin Hill was clearly agitated right from the get-go last night. And you could see Edmonton was trying to make it a point of it to get in his kitchen, get around the crease area and make life more difficult for him. And they did. They did bump him a couple of times. And then he eventually snapped on Evander Kane, although Evander Kane was pushed in by Braden McNabb a little bit there. His own defenseman pushes Kane into the goal. But that being said, Kane plowed right into him. Kane made no attempt, none, zero, to get out of the way of Adin Hill. And Adin Hill just went postal at that point. He was ready to go after and fight Evander Kane at that point. There was another scrum, and that's when Frederick and Haig dropped the gloves, and that was one hell of a tilt. Now, the game did settle down after that. Second period and the third period were much tamer, slowed down quite a bit. And I got to give the Edmonton Oilers just a shit ton of credit. That's about as good a game as I think they can play, really, at both ends. I mean, the way they completely shut down Vegas was, without Matthias Ekholm. Let's keep that in mind. And this reminded me of Game 5 in the Los Angeles series for the Edmonton Oilers, where the team just absolutely put the clamps down. That was the game they outshot LA, what was it, like 46-22 or something? And wasn't like that last night. The shots were only 32-23, but it definitely felt like it was, and it was 25-12 Edmonton in shots on goal after the first two periods. They just shut down Vegas and just completely stifled them. It was a really impressive effort. And Jack Eichel, can't find him with a telescope. You couldn't. I think that whole line was totally invisible. Barbashev and Stone and Eichel. And now I know Stone, we'll be a little bit, we'll take it easy a little bit with him because he, I think, is battling an injury. There was some serious doubt whether he would even play last night. That being said, I mean, they need more from Stone, and they certainly need more from Jack Eichel. And that whole top line did absolutely nothing last night. Nothing in that. Did they even get Eichel actually hit the crossbar with one shot from the face-off circle? Other than that, it's hard to find him doing a whole lot in that game. And Chris Knobloch, one hell of a coach, man. Every move, and this happened last year a lot in the Stanley Cup final run for Edmonton. Every move he made worked. Every move he made was a good one, and it paid off, and it made an immediate impact. Kasperi Kapanen was put into the lineup for Edmonton last night. Hasn't played in a while, and he replaced Victor Arvidsson, who hasn't had a great playoffs. Kapanen was all over the ice last night. He had an absolutely outstanding game. He was hitting. He was physical. He was all over the puck. He definitely got, Alex Pietrangelo a couple of times last night in that game. Terrific move, and it paid off. He played way better than Arvidsson has in these playoffs. And then on the back end, I wasn't so sure about him taking Ty Emberson out, but Troy Stetcher was really good last night, the guy that replaced him. So again, Chris Knobloch, very similar to last year, pushing all the right buttons. Adam Henrique, Rico as they call him, with the first two goals. Evander Kane had another outstanding game. A goal and an assist, was everywhere, physical, you name it. I mean, to see him playing this well for as long as he was out due to the injury was just, it's been pretty remarkable to see how well he's played, how big of an impact he's made. So Vegas is in deep shit. They're down now 3-1 in the series, and with the way Edmonton's playing, and how about, I had to wear the shirt today. Skinner had to, coming off a shutout. What a performance by him, and he needed it. And how about this crazy stat, and I'll throw it to Matt for his thoughts on last night right after this. Stuart Skinner, I can't explain this. In the playoffs, the last 2 years, this year and last year combined, Stuart Skinner in game 1 to 3 of a series is 4-11 with an .857 save percentage. It's horrible. And we saw it in the LA series, game 1 and game 2. He was not good. Yet in games 4 through 7, the games that matter the most critical parts of the series, game 4 through 7, the last 2 years, Skinner 11-1 after last night, .942 save percentage, 2 shutouts. And the only loss was, of course, game 7, Stanley Cup final against Florida last year. I can't explain it. He's just plays like Marty Brodeur in game 4 through 7 of a series, this guy. But 11-1, .942 save percentage. I've made note of that. That be careful fading Skinner now in the rest of this series if he's going to get starts again. Because game 4 through 7, that's nuts. 11-1, .942 save percentage. Incredible. Matt, your thoughts on what we saw last night?
Yeah, it was an interesting night to say the least. It's weird to say a game that was 5-2 was a snooze fest and a game that was 3-0 was exciting, especially early on. But from a betting front, I actually had the first period and full game over in both games. So obviously I finished 2-2 in that regard. But it's interesting, Caps Carolina misses the first period and then soars over the over. And then, Vegas, Edmonton, you get that first period over, you're feeling good. And then there's only one more goal the rest of the game. So, but yeah, I tuned into a majority of the Caps Carolina game, mostly the second and third period. I missed a little bit of the early part of the game. Obviously the Caps getting that power play goal, kind of making it a game again, was good to see. Always good to see an OV goal. Always enjoyable. But Carolina kind of just ran away with it after that. It's fine when you've got a lead to give up a goal, allow teams to kind of get back in the games when you can respond well like that. It's not easy to do if you've got, a 3-1 lead and then all of a sudden it's 3-2. But then you can kind of pounce right back and score. I think Hall was the one that scored that goal.
Carolina did it twice in the third. When Washington got it to within one goal, they responded with a goal right after. Well done by them.
Yeah, exactly. So that was obviously a good game, but good for Carolina. Now they're up 3-1, heading back to Washington with a chance to close it out. I'd expect a big push from Washington in that game 5 as, their season's against the wall. So that should be a good game, hopefully. Again, this series, just in comparison to the other 3 series, and especially that Vegas-Edmonton series that falls on the same day as it, has just been kind of a snooze fest. So, we'll see how game 5 is. I would expect it to be more interesting with the elimination potential. And then as for the late game, not a ton to add to what you mentioned. Crazy first period fight, Evander Kane. As a player that's run multiple goalies, I think he really didn't have anything he could do. Did he fly through Hill? Absolutely. He made no attempt to stop. But if you're crashing the net hard, you take a little shove from behind. There's nothing really you can do in that situation. Maybe he gave a little extra to go through him. Either way, it was on a goal, so that was cool. And Kane obviously scored their third goal, so didn't affect him too much. Just one of those. It was sort of like the game 2 and 3 in the Minnesota series where Vegas, they had power play chances in the first, they had them in the third. They just really couldn't get anything going. And credit to Stuart Skinner for locking it down for them. Always good to see. But yeah, Edmonton with a 3-1 lead. Obviously, as a fan of a team in the West, I hope that Vegas can at least win game 5 and push a game 6. I believe that would be Friday night. We'd get a game 6 back in Edmonton. So I think, I just think Vegas, looks a little out of sorts. It's tough when you've had so much success. You've won a cup with a lot of these core guys. I know there's a few good players on that team that were not part of that cup run. It's tough to have the same kind of desperation as a team like Edmonton that, got close last year and didn't quite make it. So, Vegas has always kind of been in contention the last few years. Obviously a team that could win the cup at any time, but they look a little out of sorts. Their power play doesn't look as good as what it's been used to. And, there's guys on their team that I'm sure are battling injuries like every team in the playoffs, but it seems to be affecting them a little bit stronger. And then last but not least, we kind of touched on it, but, Aiden Hill looks like a mental midget right now. He's slashing guys that are skating by. He's freaking out over everything. And
I wouldn't have blamed Bruce
know,
Cassidy for pulling him early in that first period. To me, he did not have the mental temperament needed to play the position and the focus. And it's like his focus just evaporated because of him being all caught up in the Edmonton crashing his crease and him slashing everybody that was coming into his kitchen. I mean, he definitely felt like he was mentally not where he needed to be.
Yeah, exactly. And, when you're in the playoffs, goalies are going to give up bad goals. Goalies are going to have their ups and downs. But just when you see that, I mean, he was acting that way when it was 0-0. It wasn't even, they weren't even down yet. And he's already just like in panic mode, trying to hit guys. It's just not something you want from your goalie. There's goalies out there that are very cool, calm, and collective, during good times and shitty times. And, just having that sort of panic is not something you want to see. So hopefully he gets it figured out and they can, push this series back to Edmonton for Game 6. But just after last night's effort, I think it's gonna be tough.
No question about it. Matt's gonna hop out for a bit. He's got a call for work to take care of. He'll be back though later to talk Winnipeg, Dallas. I know he's excited about that and giving his thoughts on tonight's big game. So Matt, we will see you back here in a little bit.
Cool. Sounds good. Talk to you in a bit.
There he is. Matt will be back in just a little bit. And I told him, don't worry about taking care of your work business for about 10 or 15 minutes. It's going to take me 10 or 15 minutes to talk about this game. You know how it works. One last thing I want to say too about the Vegas Edmonton game last night too is very, very impressed with, like I said, Bouchard in particular defensively last night. I think it was one of the better defensive games he's played. Nurse played a really good defensive game. They're capable of it, those guys. And those guys are the whipping boys when it comes to the Edmonton blue line. When they have these defensive blunders, and when they don't have a good game as a team, let's say as a team, they give up 5-6 goals, they lose a game. When the team has a bad defensive game, regardless of how many of those goals against need to be are because of or caused by Darnell Nurse or Evan Bouchard, it seems like Oilers fans blame them. It does. And so when you finally see them have a game like that last night, you do feel good for them because they've certainly gotten their fair share of scorn, especially when you look at the kind of games that both Nurse and Bouchard had early in the first round against Los Angeles. You remember those first two games. It was pretty abysmal from them, yes, especially, but even the rest of the blue line didn't play well at all, in the first two games of that series. Turnovers. I still remember the one Philip Deneau goal. I think it was in game 1 or 2, and it's like a perfect assist to him from Evan Bouchard. He puts it right on his stick for a Los Angeles goal. That's how bad things were going for the Edmonton Oilers defensively, and especially those two guys. And to see both Bouchard and Nurse play the way they did last night for the Edmonton Oilers in that victory, that's good to see that. It shows you got to be mentally strong. You got to keep playing. You got to have confidence in yourself, confidence in your abilities. And certainly they showed that they did have that confidence last night. And again, to be able, like Vegas in the first two periods, it really felt like they didn't generate a whole lot of anything. And you've got to credit Edmonton for sure for the playing like that. And yes, he got a lot of help from a team that played an excellent defensive game as a team, Stuart Skinner. But let's also give him credit because there were a couple of really, really good saves that he made during the course of that game, where the Vegas Golden Knights finally did, get some good opportunities on net. And Stuart Skinner was there. There was no soft goals, obviously, because he got a shutout. His movement was a lot better. I thought his rebound control was spectacular. His glove hand was working well. He was square to the shooter most of the night. Positioning was rock solid. There's definitely a lot to like about what we saw from Stuart Skinner last night. And again, Edmonton, I think too with Edmonton, when they win puck battles because they look like a faster team than Vegas. Kevin's point is fair. They look faster right now than the Vegas Golden Knights. Carolina looks faster than the Washington Capitals right now. I think that's kind of one of the takeaways from both of the games last night, where the team that is looking like they're skating better, they're faster, it means they're getting the pucks quicker. It means they have the puck more. And it means because they have the puck more and they're winning more loose puck battles and they're winning more one-on-one battles and they're winning those board battles, they have the puck more. And when you have the puck more in these playoff games that are so physical, you're going to wear down a team. Edmonton wore down Vegas last night. Carolina wore down Washington last night. And that's what we're seeing right now. So I think it's going to be interesting to see now what we get from both really the teams that lost last night, as far as they got to get their gas tank refueled. Let's put it that way, because it kind of looked like a Washington team running on fumes last night in their loss. And it definitely kind of looked like a Vegas Golden Knights team running on fumes on their loss as well. So like I said, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what we get as far as a pushback from these two teams that are down 3-1. And where's the belief level at? 3-1 is, you got to take it one game at a time, one shift at a time. And I'm sure they're going to throw out all those cliches, both of these teams. But it is true. You got to just win a period, win a shift. You can't look at it as we're down 3-1. We got to win 3 games in a row. No, just win the next shift, win the next period. You got to take it incremental steps if you're going to get back into a playoff series. And I think that's where both of these teams are going to have to approach it moving forward. And I've got to rant one last time before we get to Winnipeg, Dallas. I've got to rant one last time on fucking Pierre-Luc Dubois, man. This guy has been abysmal in these playoffs, and he really is kind of erasing what had been a terrific resurgence in the regular season for him under Spencer Carberry. He had an excellent regular season, 20 goals, 66 points. It was a great regular season for him. He has not had a great playoffs. He has 3 assists in the game so far, no goals. And more importantly, he's taking stupid penalties. He's taking dumb, undisciplined penalties. This one play on the power play he made in that first period power play that Washington had, which was one of the worst 4-minute, and it was a double minor too. They had a 4-minute power play. Had to have been one of the worst power plays I've ever fucking seen in a playoff game. That is how bad it was. They could barely get entry into the offensive zone. And Dubois on that power play ends up trying to skate the puck over the blue line when Carolina's got everyone lined up along the blue line, and he turns it over. He tried to make a pass. It had zero chance of working. And he still tries to force the puck like that. It easily got turned over and sent back down the ice. And then to make matters worse, the one really good chance Washington had on that 4-minute power play at the end of the first period, Dubois got a yawning cage, a wide open net, and he shoots it wide. He is just, he's been awful. And it's a shame. It's a shame that he's kind of reverted back into the PLD that we had seen too often in his Winnipeg and Los Angeles days. And it's really taking a lot of shine and a lot of luster out of what was an excellent regular season for him here in Washington. And they need more from him. They need more from him. They need more from a lot of guys. Protas has slowed down in this series. And let's give Carolina credit. They've kind of neutralized. He had the 1 goal early in the series in game 1, and it's been pretty quiet after that. McMichael has kind of slowed down of late. Dylan Strome's not the point machine, that he was in the first round against Montreal. So, like I said, I think it's definitely one of these situations where until I see, those players in particular get going, and Ovi, that was his first big moment of the series. It's going to be tough for Washington, and for Vegas, it's about the top line. Jack Eichel's your best player up front. He's got to start playing like it. Really is that simple. He has been obviously not up to the level that he's capable of. That is clear as day so far in this series. So they're going to need more from him moving forward if Vegas is going to attempt this down 3-1 comeback against Edmonton, which will be easier said than done. What does Chris Knobloch do with his goaltending? What if Calvin Pickard is back for games and available for game 5? Because if he is, and he's able to play, you then have the decision, if you're Chris Knobloch, to start Calvin Pickard, who is on an undefeated 6-0 run as a starting goaltender here in this year's playoffs. You haven't lost a game with Calvin Pickard in net. Or do you stick with Stuart Skinner for the Edmonton Oilers, who finally had his best game, his first great game of the playoffs in a shutout effort last night, and a guy that, as I mentioned, in game 4, 5, 6, and 7 of a playoff series in the last 2 seasons combined, the dude is 11-1. Skinner's 11-1 in these game 4 through 7 games in a playoff series. So from what I hear, there is a chance Pickard is going to be healthy enough to be available and start game 5. But what do? Do you go back to Pickard, the guy that's won 6 straight that he started? He's the guy that helped turn the LA series around when you were down 2-0. You won all 4 games with him in net to come back and win that series in 6, and then he got you the first 2 of this series against Vegas. That's a tough decision. That's a very, very tough decision. But I'm kind of getting the feeling they're going to probably stick with Skinner. And Chris Knobloch's comments after that game last night kind of hinted that they might stick with Skinner. He's the guy. We wanted to get him back in the net, is what he said. And again, with those game 4 through 7 stats that Skinner has accumulated last year and this year combined, 11-1, 2 shutouts, .942 save percentage. Those are Dominic Hasek playoff numbers. Those are Patrick Waugh playoff numbers. Like, that's how incredible the Stuart Skinner track record has been in game 4, 5, 6, and 7 the last 2 years. 11-1, .942 save percentage. You can't do much better than that. So it's very difficult if you're Chris Knobloch to take that out of the lineup in game 5 if Pickard's healthy and able to play. It's a tough decision. We'll see which way Edmonton goes with it. All right, let's turn our attention to tonight. We've got obviously the Winnipeg Jets and the Dallas Stars, and it is game 4. It's a pivotal game 4 of this series. Dallas leading 2-1. Obviously, these 2-1 series in game 4, they're big games because you're either 2-2 and you're going to a best of 5, or 3-1 Dallas, and the Jets face the uphill battle of having to win 3 in a row. Dallas -150 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. A day that Dallas Stars fans have been waiting for and longing for a very long time. It's finally here. It's the return of their best defenseman. It's the return of one of the best defensemen in the NHL. Miro Heiskanen is back after a lengthy, multiple months absence since the hit that he took from Mark Stone in a game against the Vegas Golden Knights a few months ago. And so obviously a Dallas Stars team that has gotten to this point, 2-1 lead in the second round without him. Now this blue line becomes even stronger. They'll obviously reunite, it looks like, Heiskanen with Harley, usual pairing they were before Miro Heiskanen's injury. Now, there are some concerns here about, it's been a long time. Is there quote-unquote ring rust here for Miro Heiskanen? It's been a long time since this guy's played. We're talking about his last game being January 28th. That's a long time ago. We're talking about 3.5 months of not playing in an NHL game, and you're throwing him right into the middle of a very hotly contested playoff series against a team that was the President's Trophy winners this year in the NHL. So you get a little bit concerned, and the NBA theory is when you bring in one of your top players and you bring in one of your best guys back, sometimes that first game you spit the bit a little bit and you don't get the job done. So that there is that overarching angle that you have to factor in. I've seen it before, especially NBA, a little bit in the NHL too, where you get your top player back, your top scorer, your top center, your top forward, your top defenseman, your top goaltender, whatever the case may be, and you're not always assumed to win that first game when that player comes back into the lineup, for sure. So, but what I like about Dallas here is the way they're going about it. It sounds like Peter DeBoer is going to go with an 11-7 setup here tonight. He's going to go with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen, which means he's not taking anybody out from the 6 that have been going to war for Dallas here in the playoffs so far. And I like the move because this would have been so tough for Peter DeBoer to sit down one of his defensemen that have played just so well here in the playoffs to this point. Miro Heiskanen comes back, but with the way Harley's played, Lindell has played, Cody Ceci, who of course has that experience from last year with Edmonton going to the Stanley Cup final, Ilya Lyubushkin, Leon Bichel is a physical monster already, and he is just starting his NHL career. I've been so impressed with the physicality of the big man, Leon Bichel. I'm glad he's still in there. And Alex Petrovic, who, look, you can say goal or no goal. He's coming off a game where he gets the game winner for the Dallas Stars against Winnipeg in Game 3. He's not coming out of the lineup either. So I like the way they're approaching this for multiple reasons. Harley, Lindell, Ceci, Lyubushkin, Bichel, and Petrovic, they have played so well in the absence of Miro Heiskanen as a collective. If you go 7 defensemen tonight, now you don't have to take any of these guys out that are all in rhythm, that I think have all played well enough to earn the opportunity to stay in the lineup. And at the same time, you don't have to wear Miro Heiskanen out here in his first game in months. You could ease him back in. He doesn't have to play 28, 30 minutes tonight. You can ease him back in. You could just, ramp up his ice time gradually. You don't have to, overdo it, with Miro Heiskanen in his first night back. You can go, maybe 18, 20, 22 minutes. You don't have to, obviously in the games that are critical, and as he gets, more of his footing and his timing back and his rhythm back, Miro Heiskanen will eventually go back to being that ice time minutes machine that he's been over the years, where he's playing 30 minutes a night in the games, like a Game 7, if you will. But I like the way the Dallas Stars are handling it with Miro tonight in his return. 7 defensemen. They're not going to, wear him out. They're not going to ask him to play, 30 minutes tonight in this game. And you also get to keep every defenseman in the lineup that has been here throughout this playoff run so far and done a very nice job in the absence of your best guy. So it looks like Dallas will go with 7D tonight. So yes, Heiskanen back, but no one comes out, and they'll gradually, ease him back and manage his minutes properly. That's right. That's proper bench management. I agree with it fully with the way Dallas is going about it tonight. Totally agree with it. That's proper bench management. That's proper player ice time deployment and management in this situation for a guy that has been out for as long as Miro Heiskanen has been. You hear that, Jim Miller, you stupid fuck? You goddamn idiot. Are you paying attention to this, you numbnuts? You could have handled it like this too, and maybe you'd still be playing now instead of blowing a 2-0 series lead against the Edmonton Oilers in the first round. But I'm not bitter. I'm not still upset. I'm over it, as you could clearly tell. Anyway, Dallas, I think, handling it well right now as far as their player ice time management in this situation. Winnipeg, I'll tell you this about Winnipeg in the Game 3. They played a pretty good game for portions of that game, no doubt. That game was 2-2 early in the third period, and it's right there for the taking for Winnipeg. And then the wheels fell off in the third period. The controversial goal that ended up standing from Alex Petrovic, I'm not going into it. I'm sick of talking about it. Bottom line was it was called a goal, and at that point in the game, you're only down 3-2. There's still a whole third period left. You played relatively solid. It's been now Winnipeg's been a disaster on the road here in the playoffs, and yet Game 3 against Dallas, that was probably one of their better road games, at least up until that point. And then 3-2, you keep playing. And unfortunately for Winnipeg, they let that goal that goal that was allowed to stand. They allowed it to get under their skin. Connor Hellebuck, more than anybody, allowed it to get under his skin, because there he is chirping at the refs, shaking his head, bad body language from Hellebuck. And I said, this guy's got to, stop this and just screw in and focus on stopping the next shot. And the next shot goes in. Mikko Rantanen makes it 4-2, and it was game over at that point. It was game over at that point. You could absolutely tell at that point that Winnipeg was done. And then, of course, they added to it 5-2. They sunk after that. They were absolutely shot mentally after that 4-2 goal, and then it just got away from the Jets. But, they played a better road game in spurts than they did at any point in the St. Louis series. But at the end of the day, you look at it, and it's another road loss for Winnipeg. It's another Connor Hellebuck road loss in the playoffs. It's another 5 goals or more given up by Connor Hellebuck on the road in the playoffs. Now 1-10 in his last 11 road playoff starts, including, I think, a 6-game consecutive game road playoff losing streak now, but 1-10 in his last 11 road playoff starts, 5.8 goals against average during that time. In a game that Winnipeg played still halfway decent, better road game than the St. Louis series. And at the end of the day, you look up at the scoreboard, it's still 5 goals against, it's still a 5-2 loss, and it's still a situation where, you just cannot find a way to win on the road, this team or this goaltender. And here we go again, where you can talk yourself into some kind of conjecture that things are going to be different. Winnipeg's going to finally win a road game. Connor Hellebuck's finally going to give up fewer than 5 fucking goals in a road playoff game. You could convince yourself of that. Not this guy. I've given this team, I've given this goaltender in playoff road games so many chances to prove that it'll be different. And it's never fucking different. It's the same. It's the same damn thing all the time. I was waiting after St. Louis. I remember we were in this spot in game 4 against St. Louis in the first round, where they got shelled in game 3. They lose that game. Game 4, it's still a pretty damn good Winnipeg Jets team. And we know Hellebuck has struggled on the road. We knew about it at that point with his road struggles going into game 4 against St. Louis. What are you guys going to do about it? They did nothing about it. Nothing about it. They had an absolutely piss-poor second period in that game. I remember it. And it just, sewered their chances all over again. There was a 3-0 second period. They lost that game 4, 5-1. And that's what happens. That's what happens with Winnipeg. They have shown zero ability. When the faucet starts to run, they can't turn it off. When things start to go bad in these road games, they just can't turn it off at this point in time. And so, I'm running back everything I bet and won with pretty much in game 3. Because if you're betting Winnipeg or you're betting on Hellebuck to finally step up and be a Vezina Trophy goaltender on the road, you're betting what ifs. You're betting absolutely nothing of what you've seen so far in 3 fucking years. 3 years of this nonsense. Of not being able to get anything done in a road playoff game, not being able to make a key save, a critical save, a timely save. And again, it happened in game 3. Mikko Rantanen made a great play. Terrific goal. No question. But you're down. You're not, challenging the shot well enough. You're deep in your net. You're deep in your crease. You're crouched down. You expose the top part of the net, and the goal goes in. That's the problem. At what point, you're betting what ifs. You're betting hypotheticals. You can't win at this betting hypotheticals. Oh, what if he finally plays well? We've been saying what if he finally plays well on the road for 3 years. 3 years now. Come on now. Like, really? We're going to just all of us, tonight's the night. Tonight's the night for Connor Hellebuck to give up 1 goal or 2 goals, and it'll be a nice 4-2 Winnipeg win. When have we seen that from this guy in any recent road playoff game in 3 years? When have we seen it? We have not. Give me Dallas money line, Dallas team total over 3.5. Give me that alternate team total over 4.5, and I will dare this fucking mental sieve known as Connor Hellebuck to finally show something and show some guts and show that he's a Vezina caliber goalie and he can do some shit on the road. Until then, not interested. So, yeah, we're running it back. And this theory of not buying into this, Connor Hellebuck's going to finally figure it out, rhetoric, paid off quite handsomely. I think I swept the board in game 3. on Sunday, or pretty damn close. Pretty damn close with every Dallas bet that I had on Sunday. So why the hell would I not run it back? Why would I, after seeing what I've seen for 3 years and going back to this, with St. Louis team totals over and over again in the first round, Dallas team totals over and over again. They haven't even been within 2 goals of their opponent in a road playoff game going back all these years where Hellebuck's on this brutal run. Go and look at all the Winnipeg road games. I'm going to bring it up right now. 5-2 in Game 3, Dallas on the road. 5-2 Game 6 against St. Louis on the road. 5-1 St. Louis in Game 4 on the road. 7-2 St. Louis Game 3 on the road, first round. That's all this year. We can go back in the history books, though. I'm okay with that. How about last year in the first round against Colorado? 5-1 Colorado against Winnipeg. 6-2 Colorado against Winnipeg. Only a couple of 4-goal victories, 4-goal margins. You want me to go back further? I'll be happy to. 4-1 Vegas. 5-2 Vegas. The year before that in the first round. That is 3 years of this team not even being in eye shot of winning a road game in these games. So, like I said, it's definitely going to be something I've got to see before I believe it. So, yeah, we're going back to the well again. Dallas team totals over, both of them here in this game. I'm going to dabble in the -1.5, -2.5 too. Now, I don't like doing that after missing out on doing that because I only bet the team totals in Game 3. But I'm going to dabble. I'm going to dabble in the -1.5, -2.5 as well. Like, this team hasn't been within 2 goals of their opponent in any of these road games. 5-2 and 4-1 against Vegas 2 years ago. Last year it was 6-2, 5-1 against Colorado. And then, of course, this year, 5-2, 5-2, 5-1, 7-2. Just absolutely, it's just basically been one romp after another, for every team that's recently played Winnipeg on the road in the playoffs going back to the, 3 years ago. So, like I said, I have to see it before I believe it, that Winnipeg's capable on the road. It's really that simple. And like I said, I normally hate it, when you're upsetting the apple cart. And you shouldn't think of Miro Heiskanen coming back as a problem. But I do worry sometimes the first game you're bringing in one of your best players. It upsets things, and you're just a little out of sync in that first game. And maybe that does happen tonight. But I think Dallas is going about it the right way in that they're going to not allow this to happen because they're easing them in. They're not taking anyone out. It's going to be 7 defensemen. They're not taking out Petrovic or Lyubushkin, Ceci, any of the candidates that would be candidates to come out in favor of Miro Heiskanen. They're all going to play, and at the same time, they're going to ease Miro Heiskanen in. They're not going to drill him into the ice for 30 minutes tonight. They're going to ease him in. They're going to manage his minutes. They're doing this the right way. Dallas is at least doing this the right way to ensure that it's not going to throw the rhythm out of whack in the first game with Miro Heiskanen on the ice and back in the lineup. So we'll see how it goes here. Again, it's just if you're taking Winnipeg, you're just living on a prayer right now, Bon Jovi style, living on a prayer that it's going to be different for this guy, living on a prayer that it's going to be different for Winnipeg on the road than anything we've seen in the last 3 years. And how many we've seen it long enough that if it happens, salute to Winnipeg. Step up and they win tonight. I'll give them all the credit. I'll be on here tomorrow and saying, well done. You got me. But until then, not interested. I'm interested, though, in Matt's thoughts as he's back with us, though. Matt, what do you think here? Game 4, Winnipeg, Dallas.
Yeah, I think I'm sure. I know you gave an in-depth analysis, so I'll try and avoid repeating anything since I wasn't here. But yeah, I think, I've seen stuff, a couple people in the chat saying, oh, there's a trap. I think that Winnipeg can absolutely win this game. Hellebuck can absolutely have a good game. Those are things that can happen 100%.
I do like Winnipeg. I forgot to even mention it because I forgot. I am on Winnipeg to score in the first period. That is the one Winnipeg bet that I have because it's the angle. It's the team that lost the previous game, scoring in the first period. We've been on it all playoffs. So that is the one Winnipeg bet I do have tonight. Jets in the first period to get on the board.
Yeah, but trends-wise, I mean, 0-6 for Winnipeg in their last 6 road games. Hellebuck 0-7 in his last road starts, giving up 4 more goals than every one of those games. But Hellebuck individually, I mean, his goals against average in his last 7 playoff games is 5.93. So, to say it's a trap game, I disagree with that point. I think, again, it's the
It's been a
NHL.
trap game
Hellebuck
for
is a
11 fucking playoff road games for Connor Hellebuck, and we've cashed every time fading the guy in the team. So what are we talking about?
he is an MVP caliber goalie. He can flip the switch and have a game 2 like performance 100%. But I think, until he proves it wrong, we could have a night Hellebuck gets a shutout, we lose all our bets, and going into game 5 or potentially game 6 back in Dallas, I'd probably have a different viewpoint than I do. But you said, we mentioned it pre-show, going into game 4 in St. Louis, they got stomped by St. Louis. He gets pulled. You're like, okay, it's time. He's going to wake up. He's got back-to-back games in St. Louis, and then it was another dog shit performance. So it's like, until something bends, you can't. It's similar to Mikko Rantanen props right now. I mean, he's had 3 points in 5 of his last 6 games. Every game that he's gotten a point in, he's had 3 or more. It's like you're not going to not bet goal, assist, 2-goal, 2-point different props on him until he proves you wrong and goes 2 games without a point or whatever it may be. But yeah, I mean, so I think Dallas is super smart to get Miro back in the lineup at home. They get last change. They can manage who his matchups are a little bit better. I love the fact that they're going to go 7-11. I know I never really played D, at least at a real level, but D hate that in the sense of a normal situation when they're just playing 7D because, the last 3D, they don't really know what to do. I think this situation's a little different. I think there's not a guy in that locker room. There's not a guy in the National Hockey League that discredits what Miro Heiskanen can bring to a team. And, given the fact that he had knee surgery within 4 months ago or whatever it was, 4.5 months. So I think they're really smart to do that. I think you've got 3 pairs that are going pretty well. And this gives Miro an opportunity to kind of feel his way back in. Maybe he comes out and in the first period, plays 6-7 minutes and looks great. And they're like, all right, we know for game 5, he's ready to be, that top pair defenseman that he is. Maybe it's a little slower start. Maybe he plays 2-3 minutes and you need a lot of those. You need that other core 6 that's been so good for their 6 wins in the playoffs to play majority of the minutes. So it's kind of a risk-free opportunity, especially when you have a guy like Mikko Rantanen, who already is playing on the 4th line and some double shifting opportunities. He's capable of playing big minutes. You've got a Wyatt Johnston in your lineup that can, jump on a shift here and there. They've got guys up and down the lineup that can fill in an extra shift. And so worst case scenario, this guy that's on this insane fucking heater, like they interviewed Mike Modano on Spin Chicklets yesterday. Have you ever seen anything like this? He said maybe Lemieux in 91 when he was on when Modano was a North Star. Lemieux kind of took over the last 3 games and kind of rolled him out of the playoffs. He's like, maybe, but that was 33 years or 34 years ago. It's like, this is an unheard of streak. You have a guy that, he's still in his athletic prime. He's able to play these minutes. So you're giving Miro a shot to play, which is going to be a big boost for the team, the organization, the fan base. The AAC is going to be rocking. I still think we see a 5-finish Olympic team starting lineup, which is crazy that, you've got 5 guys that'll be on the Olympic team next summer playing on the same team and starting the game together. I think that'd be cool to do. But, you get the chance to try Miro, ease him back in. And the worst thing that happens is you have to see Mikko Rantanen play a few extra shifts. Darn. So it's a really good spot to be in. You knew Miro was supposed to come back in these playoffs. Obviously, had Dallas lost to Colorado, you wouldn't have seen him because he didn't play game 7. Going into round 2, Pete said, I feel really confident that he'll play in this round. And then I thought it was a good sign yesterday at optional skate. You didn't see him out there. because had he likely been out today, I think with conditioning and stuff, you'd see him out there. So I think that was sign number one. And then obviously woke up to some good news this morning. So I think it'll be a great game. I'm obviously very excited to watch. I think it's a big spot for Dallas because you either are going back to Winnipeg up 3-1 and full control of the series, or you give Winnipeg home ice back and you're in a best of three with Winnipeg on home ice that they've been pretty consistently good. They've lost one game in the playoffs on home ice, and it was game one against Dallas. So I think, I'd prefer Dallas getting it done tonight, having the opportunity to win one out of the final three, as opposed to having to win two of the final three. So it should be a good game. I expect a good start from Winnipeg. I do expect, them to come out, try and push, maybe carry the play so that Hellebuck doesn't have the opportunity to give up an early goal. Similar to Dallas in game
They
one.
need to play with a lead. That's why I think the Jets' first period goal makes sense, because they know it. Let's give our struggling, mentally, fragile goaltender, at least on the road, let's give him a lead to work with.
Yeah. And I mean, I think in game one, Dallas was out shooting Winnipeg at one point.
Yep.
Attempted shots were 15-0, shots were 10-0. That's a good start for Winnipeg in this game, because how do they make sure that Dallas doesn't score early in the game? Don't let them get any shots. So with that being said, I think Dallas knows that, and they're in the complete opposite boat where they're saying, hey, if we get two on this guy in the first 10 minutes, he's going to fucking crumble, and we're heading to Winnipeg with a 3-1 lead. That's the crazy thing with this time of year. These two teams, it was the same in Colorado. It doesn't really matter what angle you try and look at, backs against the wall for Winnipeg. These are two elite teams. So anything can happen in these games. I think, Stars fans, they get a lot of national attention to McKinnon and McCarr. They think, oh, we beat them, we're going to roll through Winnipeg. This was the best team in the regular season for a reason. I don't think they're 100% healthy as far as each individual player, but they have their whole roster. They have their MVP goalie. They're not going to roll over and die. This is not going to be a sweep of a series where Dallas just, can play half-ass. Can Dallas beat them in the next two games and win this series 4-1? Absolutely. But that's because Dallas is a good, deep, full team as well. So I expect a great game tonight. I kind of like that it's one and done tonight. Obviously a better time for me. I am obviously on the early side of things, but I do work Eastern time hours. So even the 6:50 game time, kind of cuts into my normal sleep schedule. So I love this 5:00 puck drop. I think, it'll give me just enough time to go hit the bar for a couple happy hour beers around 3:30 and then be, ready to rock by 5:00 puck drop. So very excited for this one. I think it's a big opportunity for Dallas. Above anything else, I'm just fired the fuck up to see Miro Heiskanen out there. He's been a huge loss. It's been the story of every game day. No Miro. It's gotten frustrating at times
Their
being day-to-day for 3 weeks.
Their defensive metrics have been porous without him.
Yeah.
Statistically. Now, I mean, not always in goals against, but just in the expected goals and all that, they've taken a huge hit without him. So obviously you're thrilled to have him back.
Yeah. And I mean, even let's say he plays 10 good minutes tonight. That's probably 5 minutes off Harley's time on ice and 4 minutes off Lindell's time on ice. That's going to help in the third period where, at times Dallas has sort of gotten pushed on their heels because you're relying on those guys to play so much. So, in a perfect world, he comes out, he could play 15, 20 minutes. I think Dallas is in a really good spot. So we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping for that finished start. I think that place will go fucking bananas if they're announcing, each guy, and everyone's from Finland. And especially I think Miro's going to get a really loud roar. And then, how are you not fired up for Moose right now? So should be a good one. Excited to watch. Bummer that Leah Hextall will be involved in tonight's game, but hey, we can't win all of them. The Mavs won the lottery last night. Miro's back in the lineup, 2 out of 3. It's all good.
Yeah, she doesn't quite ask the quality of questions that her
she'll probably
asks.
Yeah, Emily's been great. Leah will probably say, "Hey Miro, you've missed the last 3.5 months. Are you excited to play tonight?"
Yeah,
and he'll go,
"Yeah,
yep, yeah, no, I didn't want to play. Sorry.
Game
So,
4 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I'm making my return. Not really that excited. Yeah.
nah, I'd rather be playing pickleball or something, Leah.
Yeah. Leah. What can we do? I don't have to hear her tonight anyway because it's a betcast, so the volume will be down on my TV, no doubt. All right, so as I mentioned, Winnipeg goal in the first period, Dallas over 3.5, 4.5 team totals, and also going to sprinkle on the puck lines, minus 1.5, minus 2.5. Again, Winnipeg has not been all the Winnipeg road losses the last 3 years. Shockingly, somehow they've lost by 3 goals or more in every single road game. So it's just been remarkable how it's been this way for the last 3 years. As far as props go for this game, I'm going to take the over by factor 2 again, just like in game 3 of this. Again, every road. That's another thing too about Winnipeg. They have played how many road games in these playoffs during these struggles for their goaltender and struggles as a team to keep the puck out of the net. This year alone, they have played 4 road games. First period over is 3-1 in those games. Full game over is 4-0 in those games for Winnipeg on the road. So over 1.5, over 5.5 as well. And then for props for this game, there are a couple I like for Winnipeg because I think Winnipeg will, like the last game, they did score 2 goals. I don't think they're getting shut out, even with Miro Heiskanen back and with how capable Jake Ottinger is. I definitely think they're Winnipeg, especially in a game that's very important for them. They don't want to go down 3-1. I do think they have a potential to at least get on the board a couple of times. It's still obviously it's a really good Winnipeg Jets team. It's just they haven't looked like it, and they haven't played like it on the road for years now. That's just been the baffling part of it all. But going into tonight, as far as props go, you got to lay some juice with both of these guys over 1.5 shots. But Thomas Harley's on a 7-game 1.5. Now, I worry about tonight because with obviously Miro Heiskanen back, maybe not quite as much ice time for Thomas Harley, but still he's riding a 7-game over 1.5 shots on goal streak. Velarde 6 in a row over 1.5 shots. As far as point streaks, Miro, of course, shocker. He's gotten a point now in 5 straight games, but just the incredible run, of course, that he has had. Another great game in Game 3, multi-point game, including a goal in the Game 3 win. Niederreiter, who Alex's mom used as bargain bin special Sunday, he's now gotten a point for the Winnipeg Jets in 3 straight games and scored, of course, an important goal at the time for Winnipeg in Game 3. Gabe Velarde's the one for me for Winnipeg. 3 straight games with a point. He's been dangerous. I think definitely he's something to look for as far as Winnipeg props. On the Dallas side of the equation, obviously any of the hints at a great game. Wyatt Johnston, it goes without saying. Thomas Harley, I'm always interested in props for him. What a nice goal he scored in Game 3 to give the Stars a 2-1 lead at the time. So those are some of the props. And if you're into block shots, I do think Winnipeg will fire a lot of rubber tonight. Whether it gets to the net and to Ottinger's another thing, but I do think that Esa Lindell block shots, he's been usually good in that as far as that prop, I should say. So yeah, Esa Lindell over block shots, I think probably something worth a look here tonight as well. So those are definitely some of the props I'm looking at for this game. It's fitting that Matt's rocking the Steel t-shirt. Is that an ode to Mr. Sam Steele potentially for the Dallas Stars tonight?
Yeah, I did. I mentioned in the chat. Well, somebody mentioned it. I forget who, but Po Body's Nerfect mentioned it in the chat. It's not my bargain bin, so I can say it now. But yeah, I am gonna take a shot with Sam Steele. I think he's the one guy you lock in from that 4th line. I don't think it's been announced if Dodonov is out, if Blackwell's out. If they are gonna roll the 11. With Dodonov, I think you get a little more offensive push. With Blackwell, he kills penalties. Beck, same thing. Yeah. So he's on the kill. So but I think Sam Steele's a guy you can't take out. He wins a lot of faceoffs. He does kill penalties. He brings some offensive push. And I think every 5-on-5 shift he has tonight will be with Mikko Rantanen or maybe a Wyatt Johnston. God forbid you've got to play a shift with him. So I think it's worth a shot. I think I've seen it at plus 1,300. So I'll definitely be sprinkling a little bit on Sam Steele, and I think the shirt was fitting for it.
No doubt. You can also go Miro Heiskanen, by the way, he's actually got an assist in 5 straight games. I know it's his first game back, but something to keep in mind. He had an assist in 5 straight games before his injury, is what I mean. And I know Michael Granlund assist, is someone saying in the chat here as well. So someone like Michael Granlund to get a assist tonight from, I think it's a friend, someone from Finland there, Arttu Poikolainen. So we assume you're in Finland watching the Ice Guys show. So great stuff. Thanks for tuning in.
With Henson, Rantanen both on such a tear. I mean, they're getting a lot of shifts with Granlund, so always worth a look to expect a little chip pass to one of those guys, and then it's a quick cash. So
you got to imagine that there's a lot of people from Finland that have latched onto the Dallas Stars as their favorite NHL team or cheering for them. I mean, that's become a mini Team Finland right there. Like basically all these Finns could be playing right now if Dallas wasn't in the playoffs. They could be playing right now for Finland in the World Hockey Championship.
Well, yeah, unless your favorite player, you're from Finland, your favorite player is Barkov or Lundell, guys on Florida.
Florida's got
has to be the Stars right now. I think they've got 4 or 5. So, but it's crazy to think that, if Florida and Dallas both miss the playoffs, Finland's probably a lock to win the World Championships. And because both of those teams are still alive, they're probably struggling a bit.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, one of the worst things that could have happened to Finland's World Hockey Championship chances was Dallas being a playoff team this year, which we knew they would be, obviously, but there was never going to be a chance for Dallas players to be on the Finnish World Hockey Championship team, because we knew they'd be going pretty deep into the playoffs most likely, and that's exactly what's happened. But yeah, there's so many players on this Stars team that would be representing Finland right now if they weren't a playoff team. So it shows you how many, not just Finnish players, but great Finnish players they have, the Dallas Stars on their roster. Shout out to everyone in the chat. We have a lot of great viewers and listeners on our Ice Guys audience roster, and we appreciate all of you. So hit the like button, and we thank you for tuning in to today's show. And we also especially thank and appreciate our Patreon members. We hope to see you tonight. Patreon exclusive live betcast, 8:00 p.m. Eastern for Game 4, Winnipeg Jets, Dallas Stars. Matt will be on during the intermissions during the show tonight. You understand why he can't be in the middle of all the riffraff while the game's going on, especially if his feed's going to be 30 seconds to a minute behind. That's the big thing, not to have anything spoiled, and enjoy the game au natural. So he'll be on during the intermissions, though. Pop in for a little bit to give his thoughts on the game at the first and the second intermission. So make sure you tune in. And again, hoping to see all of you there tonight. Looking forward to it. 8:00 p.m. Eastern. The only way to join the Betcast is to be a Patreon member. $10 per month. Patreon.com/Ice Guys. Goalie charts, totals charts, our daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. So make sure you check that out. And again, sign up before tonight so that you are able to join us to tune in and or join us live on the Betcast tonight during the Jets Stars Game 4. So make sure you sign up. Again, your subscription goes a long way to supporting the show. $10 per month, patreon.com/Ice Guys. Make sure you sign up before tonight's Betcast. And also check out the Ice Guys store. Get your gear and your merch over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. And just seeing our friend from Finland here, Arttu, in the chat. We do have, we've had 46 podcast downloads from the country of Finland, by the way. I've got access to all those stats, and you can see country by country. 61,000 from the States. Actually, the States is crushing Canada in our podcast download stats of the Ice Guys show. The U.S., 61,000. Canada's not even 10,000. They're second, but they're like at 9,900 Canada. So they're lagging behind. Now, obviously, size of population, size of the country matters. But what I'm shocked by is 907 podcast downloads from Singapore, number 3. I'm trying to figure that one out. What's happening? Who's tuning in from Singapore? Let us know. But that's pretty amazing. Number 3 in Singapore, believe it or not, for podcast.
I wonder if that's people that love the show, but because of the time difference, they have to download the podcast first, watching live. Because I don't know what time it is in Singapore, but it's probably not middle of the day. So maybe that's maybe they wake up and download the episode each day so they can tune in.
I mean, U.S. and Canada are number 1 and number 2, but like I say, Singapore, there's a lot of non-traditional hockey markets that are ranked after U.S. and Canada as the top 2 countries for Ice Guys Show podcast download numbers. Singapore 3, UK 4, Germany 5, Netherlands 6, Australia 7, Nigeria 8, Sweden 9. Sweden, now I expect Sweden to be high up there, but there's, Netherlands and UK and Singapore are higher up than Sweden. Japan 10, Austria 11, Mexico 12. I'm not shocked by Mexico because there's someone that's always posting his winning bets when listening to one of our plays and thanking us for it from Mexico. So I'm not totally shocked by that. We have a decent Mexican contingent as well listening to the show. Iceland, Poland, Spain, France, Brazil, Switzerland, Denmark, Norway, Ireland, Finland, New Zealand, Puerto Rico, India, Chile, Italy, Dominican Republic, Aruba, Argentina, Russia, China, Turks and Caicos Islands, Malta, United Arab Emirates, South Africa, Bangladesh, Turkey, Jamaica, Bahamas, Lithuania, Belgium, Vietnam, Hong Kong, Slovakia, Czechia, Belarus, Saudi Arabia, Cyprus, Kazakhstan, Taiwan, Cambodia, Portugal, Kuwait, Israel, Andorra, Croatia, Venezuela, Greece, Peru, Ukraine, Albania, Romania are all the countries that have at least once downloaded an episode of the Ice Guys podcast. Pretty crazy.
It's crazy.
Crazy stuff. We're worldwide, baby. Worldwide. We are. All right. Good stuff. Time to go. I've babbled enough. Bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgater Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Hey, Alex, have you checked out the latest with the great trading platform Kalshi?
Yes, I have. It's been fantastic. This is one of the first and only federally regulated prediction markets in the U.S. And if you're looking for odds for all kinds of different things, not just what we're talking about, the markets in the Stanley Cup, the NBA Finals, you can trade with crypto. You can look for trades within the markets involving entertainment, politics. There's all kinds of different markets you can look for. And you can use the odds over at Kalshi.
Time of year to get involved with Kalshi. Certainly if you're a sports fan, Stanley Cup playoffs, NBA playoffs, baseball now underway, with all the different markets to create winning trades. Make sure you're checking out all that Kalshi has to offer.
Absolutely. And if you're trading with Kalshi, use the link kalshi.com/iceguys. You trade $100 or more, they will send you $10 back. So it's fantastic to use. Like I said, any kind of markets beyond sports. We're talking entertainment, politics, crypto, basically anything you want.
So make sure you sign up, kalshi.com/iceguys. Note that it's live on Robinhood and available in all 50 states, making it the first legal place to trade on these kind of events nationwide. Check it out, kalshi.com/iceguys. Shout out to all our great sponsors, Boston and Pink, 20% off using the promo code IceGuys. And also check out the great trading platform, More Than Just Sports, Kalshi.com/IceGuys. All right, bargain bin special of the night. We just have the one game to choose from. It's Winnipeg, Dallas, Game 4. Maddie, Rob, we'll start with you. Game 4, bargain bin special.
Yeah, obviously one game to choose from. So unfortunately, I do have to pick a bargain bin from the Dallas game. With that being said, Connor Hellebuck, suspect in net, 5.93 goals against average in his last 7 road playoff games. And on the other side of things, you've got a guy named Mikko Rantanen that's got 17 points in his last 6 games, and all of those coming in 5 games. So when he gets a point, he's had 3 or more in his last 5 of his last 6. I'm going to go Mikko Rantanen, 3 or more points tonight, plus 600. It's just a trend bet. You can't break what's not broke, or you don't fix what's not broken. So I love Mikko tonight. I think Hellebuck, until he proves me wrong, I'm not going against him, or I'm not going to bet on him. And I think Mikko gets 3 done tonight with some extra shifts with the 11 forward set. So Mikko Rantanen over 3 points plus 600. That'll be my bargain bin for tonight.
All right, there we go at a nice price. It was it's been in that 600-700 range the last few games. Mikko Rantanen, if I say it in my Finnish accent, over 2.5 points in the plus 600, plus 700 range is what we're looking at for Matt Robinson with his bargain bin special. I'm going to give you 2, one from each team. We'll start with Winnipeg. It's right on the nose at Bet365 that Gabe Vilardi is plus 300 to score a goal tonight. I like it. I think he is definitely someone he's been one of the most dangerous Winnipeg forwards so far in this series for the Jets. And I think getting him at plus 300 is definitely solid value as far as him finding the back of the net is concerned. So plus 300 for Gabe Vilardi for my Winnipeg bargain bin special from this game. My Dallas bargain bin special, hopefully I'm not a day late with this one, but he got the 2-1 goal in game 3. We're going to go to Thomas Harley, plus 625 to find the back of the net once again here tonight for Dallas in game 4. So Gabe Vilardi, Winnipeg, plus 300, and Thomas Harley, plus 625 for Dallas for my bargain bin specials of the night for game 4 tonight, Winnipeg and Dallas. All right, best bets for this game 4. Matt, what do you think here, best bet?
Yeah, same idea. Don't change what isn't working, and Hellebuck on the road is not working. So I'm gonna keep it simple. Every one of those losses, this has happened. Every loss in the playoffs, this has happened. And obviously game 3, this happened as well. Give me the Dallas Stars team total over 3.5 plus 120. I just think, I expect a fight out of Winnipeg. I expect an early goal. I love the first period over in this one. But I just, until Hellebuck proves me wrong and can shut the door on the road, I got to keep riding this, especially at a plus 120 price. So Dallas Stars team total over 3.5. That is my best bet for the evening.
There you go. Dallas Stars team total over 3.5 for Matt Robinson with his best bet. And it's rare on this show that we have similar best bets, but we do tonight. I'm on that same one, and I'm going with it. It's definitely my favorite bet in this game on the Dallas team total over 3.5. I actually got plus 128 with it at FanDuel. Still a great price. Still, at plus 120 or better is still widely available. So make sure you shop around. Again, this team has given up 5 goals, and Connor Hellebuck has given up 5 goals in every road playoff game. It was my best bet on Sunday for the show. Dallas team total over 3.5. I'm going right back to it. I'm running it back. And like I said, we'll sink or swim together, Matt and I, with this one here tonight for game 4. And like I said, if this is the night, finally, after eons of waiting for him to step up, if this is finally the night Hellebuck has a great game and the Jets win, I'll give him all the flowers tomorrow on the show. And I'll say, salute, great job. You finally got it done. But I've got to see it before I believe it. So for me, Dallas team total over 3.5 plus 128 for my best bet here for game 4, Stars and Jets. a shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And again, we cannot wait for the Betcast tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, for Game 4, Jets and Stars. Make sure you sign up on the Patreon page to be part of the Betcast tonight. Get on board, $10 per month at patreon.com/IceGuys. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Matt Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. We're back in a few hours with the Betcast, Patreon exclusive, and tomorrow on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the Ice Guys.